Hey everyone. I was looking at the question, does attending a staff meeting or a briefing in the name of a meeting enlighten an employee, and what constitutes a good meeting, and why should a meeting be both informative and interactive? So the book talks a little bit about this quite a bit in chapter 7, but also on page 250 in chapter 10, they talk about the follow-up and follow-through method. So the authors say that to achieve goals, the team members should be leaving meetings with homework or a task or something of the sort. This will allow them to go out and explore and gather information so that when they get back to another meeting, they will have gained ideas and they can bring something back to the team to brainstorm with, and everyone can kind of, mull on it. The book also says that you should give your team tasks to complete working towards completing the team's overall goals. So the follow-up and follow-through method means that you follow up after each meeting to make sure that they completed their tasks and actually followed through with their homework. And then if you did assign homework to someone on the team, you should expect them to bring it back and then follow up with them the next meeting about it. But if they didn't do it, you should never do it yourself. And don't let it slide either. Hold people accountable and make them do it. It was assigned to them. It's part of their job. It's their requirement to do it. In my mind, a meeting is a give and take of information depending on the type of meeting. So I've been to meetings where bosses will just spit out numbers to you, and that's basically it. They just give you the facts. This is what it is. Not much to talk about. Just it's informative, and you just kind of okay. I've also been to meetings where the boss wants interaction and they want responses from everyone on the team. So I used to be an assistant manager or assistant general manager, AGM, for Taco Bell. And I actually used to run meetings and kind of co-run meetings as well. And one thing that I did was I encouraged my manager staff to bring new ideas to the table to see something like maybe how can we increase employee morale, or how can we make the store a better, more fun place to work. I would also follow up with them after weekly meetings because we'd have a meeting every week on usually like a Wednesday or Thursday. And follow up and see what went well this week, what do we need to improve on, what did we talk about last week at our meeting that we now we're going to come full circle back to this week. And then another example is we talked about people who we might think were ready for promotion. So I used to tell each manager, pick a person that they thought was ready to be promoted. We would discuss it, and then a week later we would kind of watch those people, talk to them, kind of see how it went. And we would kind of pick the best two people that we thought were ready, that were willing to do it, and talked about promotion and options like that with them. And then I also think that a good meeting consists of kind of like that give and take again. So you let me see here. So you talk when you have good ideas that could benefit everyone, and then you listen when others are speaking, and then you get to interpret what they're saying. So if you don't understand, then you should always ask for clarification so you do fully understand, because every discussion can be useful to the group, and you should be able to understand what your group is talking about, or get it clarified so that way you can actually be a part of it and interact with everyone. I also want to talk about the methods of problem solving. The section starting on page 252 about dealing with difficult staff or dealing with difficult people actually helps bring up some questions on how to problem solve. The book talks about an organization like a business being kind of like a family, and every family can have problems and go through rough spots, or have a tough kid, and knowing how to deal with that can definitely help. So down the page a little bit on page 254, the book has a nice little chart or a table that kind of goes through the steps on how to improve an employee's attitude. And then knowing the facts, ensuring privacy, laying down the law, developing an action plan, and then ending on a positive note. So in essence, if you kind of follow their little table, their little chart, little guide that they have there, you can solve issues and increase morale kind of at the same time. So some of the questions you can be asking yourself are, like, do I know exactly what the problem is? By asking yourself this, you're becoming aware that there is a problem and identifying what that problem is. Then the next question you might ask would be, do you know what the policy states? So if you're sitting down talking to an employee, something happened, you basically are just asking them, it might be a trouble employee or something that happened. You're just simply asking them a question, trying to identify if they're actually aware that they broke a rule or a policy intentionally, or if it was by accident. And then if they do seem to think that they broke it on accident, then you kind of, lay down the law and you give them proof of what the policy states, so that they're educated for the future. So something like if you have a handbook and they violated a policy out of it, print it out and then maybe highlight that section and have them read it and maybe sign the bottom of it or sign next to it or something, and then make a copy so that you have it, they have it, it's dated, whatever. So that way you kind of laid down the law and you said, this is what the policy is. You now recognize it from here on out that this is what's happening. And then at this point, you actually do get to talk with your employee, and then you can develop an action plan moving forward from that. So you can ask them, kind of wrapping it up, do you understand everything we talked about today, or is there anything that needs further clarified? And that way, by asking them that, you're ensuring that they've got full understanding of the plan forwards towards that next solution. And then, always end on a positive note so that they aren't distraught and they just want to walk out after your talk. Like that way you've kind of dealt with the situation, given them, time and room to improve. You have like a signature or proof that they read what you talked about, understood what you guys talked about, kind of went through the steps with you, and then, end on a positive note, and that's the best you can, hope for in that situation in that case. Thanks.